When an underwater drone entered the ominous depths of Devil's Hole, no one could have predicted the chilling revelations that would follow. As the drone descended into the inky darkness, its cameras captured something so unnerving that it left scientists in a state of shock. What was captured terrifies the whole world, shaking our understanding of what lies beneath the surface. The eerie readings have sparked fear and fascination. The findings prove that some mysteries are terrifying beyond anything we could have imagined. Devil's Hole is not your typical natural wonder. Located in the arid expanse of Death Valley National Park in Nevada, this mysterious chasm has long been a source of intrigue. Its name alone evokes a sense of foreboding, and for good reason. Devil's Hole is an underwater cave system so deep and enigmatic that even the most seasoned explorers approach it with trepidation. The entrance to Devil's Hole is deceptively simple. A narrow opening about 8 feet wide and 60 feet long, leading into an almost unfathomable aquatic abyss. But beyond this unassuming portal lies a world that remains largely unexplored. The water is an uncommon dazzling blue, clear enough to offer glimpses of the caverns below, yet dark and deep enough to hide its most terrifying secrets. It's said that once you dive into Devil's Hole, you never know what you might find, or if you'll even return. For centuries, this geological anomaly has intrigued those who have come across it. Native American legends spoke of the hole as a sacred place, a portal to the underworld. Early explorers and settlers were captivated by its eerie beauty and unknown depths. They documented their experiences and added to the growing lore surrounding Devil's Hole. Despite numerous attempts to map the cave system, the full extent of Devil's Hole remains a mystery to this day. Researchers have ventured down nearly 450 feet, but estimates suggest there could be an additional 150 to 900 feet before reaching the bottom, a feat that no one has yet dared to achieve. What makes Devil's Hole even more intriguing is its connection to the Earth's seismic activity. The cavern's waters are so sensitive that they react to earthquakes occurring thousands of miles away. In 2012, a magnitude 7.4 earthquake in Mexico triggered a series of waves within Devil's Hole, nearly draining the pool entirely before it refilled. This phenomenon has led scientists to speculate that Devil's Hole is part of a much larger, interconnected water system that stretches across continents, possibly linking to other underwater caves around the world. Today, Devil's Hole is a protected area monitored by the National Park Service and various scientific organizations. Yet its allure has not diminished. The recent deployment of an underwater drone to explore its depths is just the latest chapter in a long history of attempts to unlock its mysteries. As the drone ventured into the darkness, scientists and adventurers wondered what new discoveries might emerge from the abyss, and what was eventually captured terrifies the whole world, leaving us to question just how much we really know about the planet we call home. Why an underwater drone? Exploring the depths of Devil's Hole has always been a dangerous endeavor. The mysterious underwater cave system poses significant risks, even to the most experienced divers. Over the years, several attempts to map and understand this site have ended in tragedy. Many divers lost their lives in the labyrinthine tunnels beneath the surface. When a diver becomes disoriented during a deep dive, it can quickly escalate into a life-threatening situation. Disorientation often occurs due to the lack of visual references, low visibility, and the overwhelming sensory input that can accompany deep underwater environments. Without clear visual cues, a diver may lose their sense of direction and might even be unable to distinguish up from down. This can lead to panic, which exacerbates the situation by causing rapid breathing and an increased heart rate, depleting the diver's air supply more quickly. One of the most dangerous consequences of disorientation is nitrogen narcosis. This condition affects divers at depth due to the increased pressure of nitrogen, impairing judgment, coordination, and decision-making, making it difficult for the diver to respond appropriately to the situation. In their disoriented state, a diver might inadvertently swim deeper rather than ascending, further increasing the effects of narcosis and worsening the disorientation. Ultimately, what often kills disoriented divers is a combination of running out of air, nitrogen narcosis, and the inability to safely ascend to the surface. In their confused state, they may omit crucial safety stops, leading to decompression sickness, or the bends, a potentially fatal condition caused by nitrogen bubbles forming in the bloodstream during a rapid ascent. The perils of diving in Devil's Hole, low visibility, strong currents, and the psychological strain of navigating tight, confined spaces, make it one of the most challenging environments on Earth. These dangers have led researchers to seek safer, more reliable methods for exploring this treacherous terrain. For them, the answer was advanced underwater drone technology. While divers can typically reach depths of several hundred feet, the extreme pressures, narrow passages, and the sheer unpredictability of the environment in Devil's Hole make it impossible to explore the deeper recesses without putting lives at serious risk. In addition, the psychological challenges of diving in such an isolated and claustrophobic environment are immense. Panic and disorientation are real threats, and even the most seasoned divers can find themselves overwhelmed. The history of Devil's Hole is littered with stories of experienced divers who entered its depths never to return, underscoring the need for a different approach. Underwater drones are designed to navigate the harshest underwater environments. They are equipped with high-definition cameras, sonar systems, measuring equipment, and powerful lights that can penetrate the darkest waters. Unlike human divers, drones are not limited by oxygen supply, physical endurance, or the psychological stress of deep-sea exploration. They can operate for extended periods, reach greater depths, and explore areas that would be impossible for humans. The drone used in the Devil's Hole expedition was one of the most advanced of its kind, capable of withstanding extreme pressures and equipped with state-of-the-art navigation systems. It was specifically designed to handle the unique challenges posed by Devil's Hole. The drone's cameras provided real-time footage, allowing researchers to monitor its progress and make adjustments as needed. Its lights illuminated the pitch-black environment, revealing geological features and hidden passageways that had never been seen before. Additionally, the drone's sonar systems mapped the cave system in detail, creating a three-dimensional model of the underwater terrain. Various specialized measuring systems provided information about an environment no one had ever set eyes on. One of the key advantages of using an underwater drone is its ability to enter narrow, confined spaces that would be too dangerous for a human diver. Devil's Hole is notorious for its tight passageways. Some are only a few feet wide. These passages are often filled with silt and debris, making them even more hazardous. A human diver could easily become trapped or disoriented in such an environment, but the drone, with its compact design and precise maneuverability, could navigate these spaces with relative ease. The decision to use an underwater drone was not just about safety, it was about expanding the possibilities of exploration. By deploying this technology, researchers hope to uncover new information about Devil's Hole, its geology, its ecosystem, and perhaps even the mysteries that have eluded explorers for centuries. The drone's mission was clear: to venture where humans have tried and failed, and to capture footage and readings that would reveal the hidden secrets of one of the most enigmatic places on Earth. The Lost Divers of Devil's Hole. Devil's Hole is famous for the tragedies that have unfolded within its depths. Over the years, several divers have lost their lives attempting to explore this dangerous and uncharted terrain. There has also been a prevailing legend of deceased divers haunting the depths. One of the most infamous incidents occurred in 1965 when two young divers, David Rose and John Phillipson, ventured into Devil's Hole. At the time, they were students at a California university. Both were passionate about diving and eager to push the limits of their skills. Their enthusiasm, however, was met with the harsh reality of Devil's Hole's unforgiving nature. The cave system is notorious for disorienting even the most experienced divers, and Rose and Phillipson were no exception. As they descended deeper into the cave, they encountered increasingly treacherous conditions. The visibility diminished as the water grew darker, and the passageways became more confined. At some point during their dive, the two became separated, a common and dangerous occurrence in underwater caves. Disoriented and likely running low on air, they struggled to find their way back to the surface. When they failed to return, a search and rescue mission was launched. However, the complexities of Devil's Hole made it nearly impossible to locate the missing divers. The recovery team was forced to call off the search after several days, leaving Rose and Phillipson's bodies lost in the abyss. Their disappearance added to the growing legend of Devil's Hole and cemented its reputation as one of the most dangerous underwater caves in the world. In the years following the tragedy, Devil's Hole continued to claim the lives of divers who underestimated its dangers. Despite advances in diving technology and safety protocols, the cave remains a formidable challenge. Today, Devil's Hole is closely monitored and protected. Strict regulations are in place to prevent unauthorized diving. The National Park Service has taken steps to ensure that the cave remains off-limits to all but the most carefully controlled scientific explorations. Yet the legend of the lost divers endures. These tragic incidents have shaped the history of Devil's Hole and influenced the wider diving community to adhere to stricter safety standards and maintain a greater awareness of the dangers posed by underwater caves. This is why scientists and underwater explorers are now turning to drone technology to reach previously unreachable parts of Devil's Hole. The descent into the abyss. As the underwater drone began its slow descent into Devil's Hole, those monitoring the mission knew they were about to witness something extraordinary. The drone's cameras were equipped with high-definition lenses and powerful lights to capture every detail as it descended into the inky blackness. In addition, it had an array of scientific measuring equipment designed to give real-time readings of water temperature fluctuations, seismic murmurs, and other anomalies. The first few feet were unremarkable, just the familiar entrance to the cave system that had been explored countless times before. But as the drone moved deeper, the landscape began to change, revealing the true nature of Devil's Hole. The walls of the cave became smoother, as if they had been worn down by centuries of water flow. The drone's lights illuminated the limestone walls, revealing intricate patterns etched by the passage of time. These geological formations were both beautiful and eerie, hinting at the phenomenal forces that had shaped this underwater labyrinth. As the drone descended further, it encountered the first signs of life. Tiny ghostly white fish darted in and out of the shadows, their movements almost imperceptible in the vastness of the cave. These were the famous Devil's Hole pupfish, a species that clings to existence in this isolated environment. The Devil's Hole pupfish is one of the rarest and most endangered species on the planet. This tiny inch-long fish lives in this single isolated habitat and is remarkable not only for its extreme rarity but also for its unique ability to survive in one of the most inhospitable environments on Earth. The drone measured water temperatures consistently hovering around 92 degrees Fahrenheit and oxygen levels lower than those found in most other aquatic environments. The pupfish have adapted to these harsh conditions over thousands of years, thriving in the warm, oxygen-poor waters. The area they inhabit is incredibly small, consisting of a shallow shelf just 10 by 20 feet in size, where they feed on algae and other microorganisms. Despite their fragile habitat, the pupfish have persisted, though their numbers have fluctuated dramatically over time. At their lowest point, the population of Devil's Hole pupfish dropped to a mere 35 individuals. This was in 2013 and it sparked urgent conservation efforts. Scientists have taken extraordinary measures to ensure the survival of this species, including creating artificial refuges that mimic the conditions of Devil's Hole. These efforts have helped stabilize the population, but the pupfish remain critically endangered. As the drone descended further, the walls of the cave began to close in. It narrowed to the point where the drone had to maneuver carefully to avoid getting stuck. At around 3,300 feet, the drone entered a cavernous chamber known as Brown's Room, named after the explorer who first discovered it. This was a place of eerie beauty. Towering stalactites hung from the ceiling, and stalagmites rose from the floor like ancient sentinels. Here, the water was even warmer, heated by geothermal activity deep within the earth. As the drone ventured deeper into Brown's Room, the geological formations became more bizarre. The stalactites and stalagmites took on twisted, almost unnatural shapes, spiraling and branching in ways that defied explanation. The walls of the cave were pockmarked with strange circular depressions, as if something had bored into the rock from within. The team watching the footage had never seen anything like this before. But it was as the drone moved beyond Brown's Room that things began to take a truly unsettling turn. The passageways grew narrower, the walls closed in like a vice, the water pressure increased, and then without warning the drone's lights began to flicker. It was just a momentary glitch, but it was enough to send a shiver down the spines of those watching. The drone was now at a depth that no human had ever reached. The geological formations grew more chaotic. The walls were covered in strange crystalline structures that glittered in the drone's lights. The water temperature fluctuated wildly, from warm to near freezing within a matter of feet. The drone's sensors picked up unusual readings, spikes in magnetic fields, unexplained currents, and faint rhythmic vibrations that seemed to emanate from deep within the earth. Then the drone's instruments suddenly went haywire, and it was tossed around like a cork in an invisible current. The mysterious magnetic spikes and unexplained currents of Devil's Hole were one of the most intriguing and previously unrecorded aspects of the cave system. The drone was recording these anomalies in real time. These magnetic anomalies often coincide with other unusual events within the cave, such as seismic activity or the appearance of unexplained currents. While magnetic field variations are not uncommon in geological formations, the intensity and nature of these spikes in Devil's Hole are atypical. Scientists have speculated that these magnetic anomalies may be linked to the geological characteristics of the region. Devil's Hole is located near the tectonic boundary between the Pacific and North American plates, an area known for its seismic activity. The movement of these plates and the presence of mineral deposits such as magnetite could be contributing factors to the fluctuating magnetic fields. However, the exact cause of the spikes remains unclear. Some researchers hypothesize that there may be deeper, more complex interactions at play, factors some have known about for a long time but kept under wraps. In addition to the magnetic anomalies, Devil's Hole has also been the site of unexplained underwater currents. These currents can appear suddenly and with significant force. Unlike typical underwater currents driven by temperature differences, salinity gradients, or tides, the currents in Devil's Hole seem to be driven by unknown factors. Some theories suggest that these currents could be the result of water being displaced by seismic activity or underground shifts, but this has yet to be conclusively proven. Again, the drone was making real-time readings of these anomalies. The unusual currents have been observed to coincide with distant earthquakes, which lends credence to the theory that they may be related to seismic events. However, these currents have also been detected in the absence of any significant seismic activity, further complicating the mystery. Adding to the intrigue is the possibility that Devil's Hole is part of a larger, interconnected system of underground water channels. If true, this could mean that the currents and magnetic spikes are being influenced by factors far beyond the immediate vicinity of the cave. Many believe the government knows more about this and the potential dangers it poses than it lets on. To better understand these phenomena, the drone team deployed a variety of monitoring devices, including magnetometers to track changes in the magnetic field, as well as pressure sensors and flow meters to detect and measure underwater currents. While scientists continue to study these phenomena, the lack of definitive explanations only adds to the allure of Devil's Hole. Independent scientists have studied the readings captured by the drone and are still struggling to come up with a definitive explanation. The mysterious Devil's Hole reactions to global earthquakes are renowned for their unusual and seemingly inexplicable responses to seismic activity occurring thousands of miles away. The cave's water levels have been observed to rise and fall dramatically in response to earthquakes across the globe, leading scientists to speculate about the complex and possibly interconnected nature of Earth's subterranean systems. When an earthquake occurs, seismic waves radiate out from the epicenter, traveling through the Earth's crust and even through its core. These waves can cause the ground to move and shake, depending on their intensity and distance from the epicenter. What makes Devil's Hole unique is its sensitivity to these seismic waves, particularly those generated by distant earthquakes. Even tremors from the other side of the world can trigger significant water level changes in this isolated cave. For example, in April 2012, a magnitude 8.6 earthquake struck off the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia, nearly 9,000 miles from Devil's Hole. Despite the vast distance, the seismic waves from this powerful quake caused the water within Devil's Hole to slosh violently, creating waves that nearly drained the shallow shelf where the endangered pupfish live. The idea of a global network of interconnected underwater caves and aquifers offers a tantalizing explanation for Devil's Hole's sensitivity to global seismic events. If true, it would mean that Devil's Hole is not just an isolated cave, but part of a vast hidden system of underground waterways that crisscross the planet. This system could be responsible for transmitting seismic energy across great distances, causing water levels to rise and fall in response to earthquakes happening on the other side of the world. Secrets and cover-ups. As the drone readings from Devil's Hole spread, it wasn't long before rumors of government cover-ups and hidden agendas began to circulate. The government's response to these allegations, especially in light of the drone readings, was swift but far from satisfying. The National Park Service, which oversees Devil's Hole as part of Death Valley National Park, issued a brief statement acknowledging the phenomena but downplaying their significance. This measured response did little to quell the growing speculation. Many pointed out the government's history of secrecy surrounding other unexplained phenomena, such as UFO sightings in Area 51. The lack of detailed information in the official statement only fueled suspicions that something more significant was being concealed. The ongoing debate over what should be done with the drone readings continues to be a point of contention. Some advocate for complete transparency, urging the government to release all available data and allow independent researchers to study the discoveries. Others argue that certain information should be withheld to prevent public panic or to protect national security interests. Whether or not there is a cover-up remains an open question, but one thing is clear: the secrets of Devil's Hole are not easily contained.